breakfast is something special.
And of course, it's going to be intellectual breakfast. That's what we're eating.
Something cerebral.
Good morning to you once again, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
I feel a bit terrible this morning.
Not to worry, once the show begins.
But then we just have to be here to do the job.
Once the show begins, you know we give them fire once the show begins.
Very
the show
rainy morning here in Lagos, but we've got to keep it pushing.
I know, right? We're matching Olamide.
Absolutely.
Well, once again, a very good morning to you, Nigeria. Thanks for joining us. You know, it's always our pleasure to have you join us every morning. Now, today, there is a lot to talk about on the show. You know how we do it. At some point, we will take the newspaper review where Ibrahim will bring us all the headlines from the newspaper. Just after that, we'll be having a conversation, very important, talking about security in Nigeria. We'll also take you all the way to Abuja for the FCT brief, where we have conversations surrounding there. And then we'll come back to Lagos, where the beautiful Olamide will take us through everything trending in the world of social media. So please grab your coffee and let's have a fantastic show. Now, we'll start with the story where the Senate has summoned the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, alongside key industry stakeholders for an urgent meeting following the widespread public concern over the sharp rise in domestic airfares. Now, before the festive period, air tickets on domestic routes hovered around 120,000 naira, but now tickets have increased by about 150 to 400% compared to what the prices were. Now, before the ETILD, for one-way tickets, the price rose between 300,000 to 700,000, depending on the destination. Including Abuja, the airfare hike comes at a time where many Nigerians are traveling for festive season and many roads have become unsafe. So this is our conversation for today. Very, very important conversation. You know, throughout yesterday, my mind was on this topic, Mr. Biodun, because a lot of people are traveling. We all know what is happening with our road, and most times I would not want people to travel by road. I'll say it's better to travel by air. It's faster, it's safer. You know, nobody's asking for any ransom, you know, just to put in context. But then now, we're looking at our fares hiking like this. For me, it affects our tourism because at the end of the day, how many people can really pay those fares? We look at the price going to Abuja. I did the check-in. I'm not going to mention the flights, and I saw 400,000 naira to go to Abuja. Mr. Biodun, how many people have 400,000 naira to fly? I think that is high time, you know, the government and the airlines need to sit together and speak about this tax.
Yeah, there's absolutely little the government can do. I mean, the sector was deregulated, you know, by the Babangida's regime. You can imagine how many years ago. So it's been totally deregulated, and you only have private sector operators operating there. Government, yes, can impact to some extent, you know, in terms of tax on tickets and probably corporate tax, you know, on the airlines, and that's the only little the government can do in terms of at least bringing down the airfare marginally. The major cost for the airline is one, the cost of aviation fuel, the cost of leasing aircraft, and the cost of borrowing aircraft, and also what about servicing the debts? If you have gone to the bank to borrow a plane, to borrow money to buy a plane, you have to pay interest charges and all that. So all these are added together, you know, and with, of course, tax, that leads to high airfares. But a lot depends on how much is the jet fuel costing the airline, and it's not something the government can do anything about. It's one thing to buy it even within your own country. When you fly out, what happens? They have to get the jet somewhere else, and they would have to pay the prevailing prices.
You know, but still talking about this, when I mentioned tax and all, you know, I was reading about it yesterday where they made a comment. I'm not going to mention the person's name, but they made a comment that, you know, most of the monies don't go to the airlines. It was stated that the airlines don't take most of the money. Most of the money goes to the airports or the government.
And explain how regulatory fees and costing fees for the airports have not gone up. So what I'm seeing right now is that airline operators are passing on the economic burden to travelers. That is what is happening. It was very interesting yesterday in the Senate to see the lawmakers very outraged about this issue, because for a moment I had a bit of relief. I said, so the economic burden is touching you as well. So for the first time ever, money is affecting you and you're shaking in your boots. And so perhaps it's good that we all share this burden so we can all be collectively outraged. I saw Senator Onwayeboyi come out to say there should be a national carrier. What happened to Nigeria Airlines? But the issue is, even a national carrier carrier will not, so having a national carrier will not solve this issue. The issue is the costing structure in the aviation industry. That is the problem here. I think that, you know, a lot of people view flying by air as a convenience, as a luxury. It is not. In current Nigeria, it is a security alternative, and we must treat it as such and make it subsidized for people. It's extremely unfair, especially in this festive period. How do you expect the common man to cope?
400 to travel. Ibrahim, but Orji Uzor sees different, because according to him, you know, he says it's fine, you know, that's what it's supposed to be, because if you look at the taxes and you look at also the airlines, their fares and all of that, when he made that comment, a lot of people came at him on social media because people are like, Oga, are you not seeing it's going to affect us, the economy? Where do we get money to travel? We cannot go by road now. How do we go by air?
Well, come what may, even if the hike is justified, Nigerians will not find it funny. They do not want to hear anything about, okay, the operational cost, the taxis,
landing charges.
Landing charges and all of that. They don't want to hear about that. All they care about is, I need to move from point A to point B. And, you know, 30 December is just around the corner.
It's already here, actually.
Will be coming, you know, from the UK, US, mention it. And they also have some from Nigeria who also be holidaying, you know, outside of the country. So you can imagine how harrowing it's going to be for everyone. From January to December, they're asking, where is the reprieve? Where, the president said, let the poor man breathe. But how are we going to breathe? We want to get into the skies and start breathing. But the only thing there is, government should explain to the Nigerian nation that this is the reason, not insisting that the price has been hiked and then there is no way there's no going back. This is what we have to do. No, they need to explain to Nigerians, and then if you're not able to travel this year, whether by air or by road, next year is coming there.
Ibrahim, it's easy for you to say because you're not planning to travel. There are some people. But there are some people, because of our job, of course, we have to be here. But there are some people that they want to go home, they want to travel. Like I'm speaking like this because I know people that are complaining, people that want to come from Uyo to even Lagos, people that want to come from Abuja to Lagos, they cannot afford it. Now think if you're somebody that you want to fly business class, how do you're not even looking for money for economy, it's not enough. How do you now fly business class?
If you're not staying in your lane.
When we talk about this tax thing, and because they're saying it's the tax, and that's why I said, don't you think the government has to come together and see how they can reduce this cost? Because at the end of the day, we want Nigerians to be able to travel. We want it to be, you know, we're not saying give us like no money at all, half, but at least let it be something. Let me travel for at least 120K, 60K, do you understand? Like it used to be before.
Yeah, interestingly, one of the busiest period in the year is December. And then you expect airfares to come down in line with supply and demand. But what is happening currently is that the airlines are hiking the fares, even though passengers are increasing. The demand for travel has increased. So that's something which nobody has been able to explain, you know, to fellow Nigerians. So I think is one aspect the minister probably would want to look at and say, look, hang on a minute, at least no matter what happened, airfares should be lower in December because of the demand for air travels. I understand in some other months, maybe because of poor demand or low travelers, maybe prices.
Yeah, but Mr. Biodo, why is it that when it's now high that people need to travel, that is high? Then when people don't need to travel, it's low?
It's the same explanation when you look at buying a turkey before Christmas. You probably will buy it at the price to what you pay during the Christmas
Absolutely, but I know that as it stands, the Senate has now summoned the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo. They've summoned FAN, they've summoned NCAA. So hopefully we should get some answers. But what worries me is this contradiction. I saw a leader, I'm not going to mention his name right now, but come out to say that more than ever, Nigerians are beginning to own private jets, that there is so much traffic in private jet hangars that we cannot even cope with the amount of private jets. So when you look at one hand of the country, people cannot even travel domestically. On the other hand, there are people procuring private jets for their personal travel. These contradictions are painful.
And they say that there's money where there's money, talking about those private jets. But at the end of the day, we want Nigerians to travel at a good fare. You know, we should not hike it so much. I'm not going to call the names of some airlines, but I think you guys actually really overdo it. But